we should know that there are two types of taxes which are levied by the governments on its citizens. The present Prime Minister of the country, who was the Chief Minister of Gujarat before 2014, did not support GST. The former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, she was against the GST. Finally, in 2017, this GST law was enacted. The Constitution was amended, and this, in my view, is against the spirit of the cooperative federalism. Hi friends, welcome. Rangarajan here. Many of you might have seen in the news that there is some controversy between the central government and some of the state governments with respect to GST compensation. So in today's video, we will try and understand what is GST and then try and understand that issue. We should know that there are two types of taxes which are levied by the governments on its citizens. One is what is called the direct tax, like income tax and corporate tax, which is directly collected by the government. And the second is what is called as the indirect tax, levied by the manufacturer or the provider of service on the customer and then remitted to the government. Before GST was implemented in 2017, in India, there was multiple tax regimes. There were taxes like excise duty, customs duty, service tax, central sales tax on interstate sale, which was levied by the central government, and there were taxes like sales tax, value added tax, octroi, entry tax, which were levied by state governments. This resulted in what is called as the cascading effect of taxes, which is nothing but tax on tax. Because there was no uniform tax rate, and because the credit system was not very efficient, the ultimate end product for the customer was becoming costlier. Now take a simple example. A sells a product to B in Tamil Nadu for 100 rupees with a tax at 10%, so the product becomes 110 in the hands of B. He sells it further to someone called C in Bihar with a 10% tax rate, so the product becomes 121 in the hands of C. And then he sells it to the final customer D in Bihar, and 10 more percent, the final product becomes 133. So in order to streamline this and make a uniform tax rate and efficient tax credit system across the country, the GST or the goods and services tax was originally proposed way back in the year 2000 when Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister. But later in 2011, when Mr. Pranab Mukherjee was the Finance Minister of the country, this bill was introduced in the Parliament. But because of lack of agreement or consensus amongst various states, this could not be enacted then. Then finally, in 2017, this GST law was enacted. The Constitution was amended and this GST law was implemented. This ensured that all the central taxes were subsumed under just two categories. One is called the central GST or the CGST. The other is the integrated GST, which is levied on interstate sale of goods and services. And the states will have just one tax, which is called the respective states GST. Moreover, this GST is a classic example of cooperative federalism. We all understood what do you mean by a federation in the previous video, where the states enjoy autonomy, but they are all part of one country. But in this GST regime, the states have surrendered their rights, because before GST, each state could levy different taxes on the same product. But now under the GST, the product, if it is soap or if it is pen or if it is car, whatever be the product, the tax rate is the same across the country. And who determines this tax rate? It is determined by what is called as the GST Council. This GST Council will have 1/3 weightage for center and 2/3 weightage for all the states put together. But what is the majority required for taking any decision? 75% or 3/4, which means the center, without the support of majority of the states, cannot decide on anything. And even if all the states come together without the support of the center, they cannot decide on anything. That is why it is called as the best example of cooperative federalism in India. Now, this controversy is relating to the compensation to be paid by the center to the states. To understand that, we need to understand what was the position before GST. Before GST, the taxes, the indirect taxes, were origination based. Take the same example of Tamil Nadu and Bihar. Tamil Nadu, it's a manufacturing hub. It sells, in the example, let's say 1000 rupees worth of goods at 10% tax rate to Bihar. So 100 rupees, which is the tax amount, is collected and retained by Tamil Nadu because the goods or services originated in the state of Tamil Nadu. By the same logic, Bihar, it's not a big manufacturing state, but it will still produce some items and sell to Tamil Nadu worth, let's say, 500 rupees. Then the 50 rupees tax at 10% is what is collected and retained by Bihar. But world over, the destination based tax is considered to be a more fair system, a more equitable system. Why? First of all, the cascading effect of taxes can be avoided, which we saw earlier, by ensuring that the products or services are taxed only in the destination area. And more importantly, Bihar has created the demand for these products, isn't it? Without the people asking for the product, this 1000 rupees worth of goods wouldn't have been produced in the first place. The state government of Bihar requires money for taking care of its people. So under the GST regime, which is a destination based tax, the tax will be given to the states where the goods or services are being consumed. So in the same example, 100 rupees will be given to Bihar for the 1000 rupees worth of goods and services that it has consumed, while 50 rupees will be given to Tamil Nadu for the 500 rupees worth of goods and services it has consumed. Now, some of the South Indian states earlier raised the issue that we contribute the highest to the GDP, we pay so much of taxes, the northern states are not contributing so much, but their revenue will go up under this system. But that's not a right argument, because we are one country at the end of the day. There are so many laborers who come from Bihar, UP, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh to the rest of the country, everywhere, and they all contribute to the growth and development of the country, isn't it? So this system, destination based system, is definitely fair and equitable, no doubt. But having said that, the manufacturing states which had set up the infrastructure and created the manufacturing ecosystem in their states definitely felt that their revenue will be reduced. The present Prime Minister of the country, who was the Chief Minister of Gujarat before 2014, did not support GST. The former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, she was against the GST, and rightly so. They were protecting the interest of their states because they felt the revenue will come down under this new regime. It was at that point of time, Mr. Arun Jaitley, during 2016-17, he proposed that the states will be compensated for any loss of revenue. So how is this arrived at? The base rate of 2015-16, whatever was the collection of Tamil Nadu, let's say 100 rupees was the collection of Tamil Nadu under the previous system. That is taken as the base, and GST was implemented in July 2017. So for 5 years, from 2017 till 2022, every year this tax base will be increased by 14% to create a projected revenue. And if there is any shortfall, that will be compensated by the center. It shall be compensated by the center is what the constitutional amendment and the act says. And how is this money compensated? The center will levy a cess on what is called as luxury and sin items like automobiles, tobacco, aerated drinks, so on and so forth. And this money is used to compensate the states for any shortfall. It was expected that the economy will grow, there will be tax buoyancy, which means because of the growth in economy, the tax collections will also go up, and so this shortfall will not be significant. But starting from 2017-18, the Indian GDP started declining, the growth in the Indian GDP started declining because of various national as well as international factors. But in the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, we have had the biggest hit because of Corona. It has turned the world upside down, including India, and it is estimated that because of this, the shortfall in compensation to the states is estimated to be 2.35 lakh crore for the year 2020-21. Now this, the central government in the recent GST council, the finance minister said it's an act of God. Of course, it's a natural calamity and the states and center have to share the burden equally with respect to this matter. But the center said 97,000 crores out of this amount is because of GST implementation. we will allow you to borrow the money under a scheme for this amount. You don't have to take care of the principal or the interest repayment, and it will all be paid out of cess collection in future beyond 2022 as well. But the central government said, if you have to borrow the entire 2.35 lakh crores, which is the overall shortfall, then the states have to bear the interest. Now this, in my view, is against the spirit of the cooperative federalism, which is the foundation for GST, and it is also, in my view, against the law, the constitutional obligation of the center to compensate the states. So what is the way out? I feel that the center, because it is in a better position to borrow, the center will be able to borrow money at cheaper interest rates. So the center should borrow the shortfall of 2.35 lakh crores, compensate the states as per the constitutional obligation. And what should the states do? The states are part of the GST Council. They should agree that this cess can be extended beyond 2022 till this entire principal and interest on this 2.35 lakh crores can be repaid by the center. So it does not affect the overall central revenue as well. So I hope you understood what is GST, what is destination based tax, what is the issue relating to the compensation, and my views on the same. I'll see you again next Saturday 6 p.m. with another video. Thanks for watching.